Sam's Garage, presented by Hemsaw. Sam and Doug prepared to remove the factory engine from the '57 Ford Thunderbird. They plan to sell the original engine, and before doing so, run a few tests to ensure it's in tip-top condition. The guys have a few tricks up their sleeve to easily identify any internal issues.
Doug and I are getting ready to pull the engine out of the '57 Thunderbird because we're going to be doing a Coyote swap. But we want to sell this powertrain to someone in case they want to do a restoration. So before we do, we want to make sure it's sound in compression.
Yeah, we want to make sure that whoever gets this motor gets a real good solid motor. This way, they know exactly what they're getting.
You know, with parts scarce today, this is a nice setup with the new transmission, that QuickTime bell housing, and that engine runs good. So someone's going to get a good deal in this case. Doug and I took the spark plugs out of this engine and we placed them right on top of the air cleaner in the order that we took them out of the cylinders. And basically, this is a perfect time to read the spark plug and see if it's really white, you know it's running lean, running hot. If it's really black, you know it's running rich. Ours actually looks pretty good on that one. I know you got a couple dark ones over there.
This is from the number 4 cylinder onto it. So if you take a look, you can see the real color differences. And a lot of that happens is when you first start a car up, as the fuel sits in the intake manifold onto it, you don't get real even distribution when it's in idle until everything warms up and the gas begins to atomize. So this is not real uncommon. What we're looking for is something being extremely dark, or if it's covered with an oil film, then we know we have an issue that we've got to really dive in deeper.
And really the best way to read a spark plug, especially in a high performance application, is to go out there and full throttle the car, run it up to RPM, shut off the engine, coast to the side,
absolutely,
pull a spark plug and read it. In real life, you know, you can't do that unless you get to an enclosed racetrack or something. First one in the hole, I'm going to go to the starter solenoid right here. I'm going to turn it over at least 5 times. And I can see the needle's not going to go up any further. That was 5 good rotations, and I'm at 105, 110 psi. When it comes to a compression test, you know, there is certain specs of numbers you have to be in. The engine's temperature really matters because if it's cold, you're going to have a different number than if it's hot. But you're really looking for a balance of numbers across the board and stay within 15 to 20%.
When you're running a compression check, you're not actually firing the motor. And the way rings are made, that when that engine fires and that gas explodes, what it does is it takes those rings and it forces them out. So it makes a difference when you're doing a compression check. Am I leaking by the valves? Am I leaking by the rings?
When you're going from one cylinder to the next, release the air on your tool so that you're starting off at 0. And then you're going to see the needle bounce up and it's going to stop right around the 5th and 6th stroke. That's when you want to record that number. Yep. And then if you do have a low compression, that's when you take out the leak tester and really find out where it's going.
And you can also shoot a little oil in it. If it's your rings, it'll seal the rings, but if it's your valves, it won't.
So what you want to do is you want to put oil into the cylinder, roughly a cap full, and if the numbers raise up, then you know you have bad rings. If the numbers stay the same, then you know that the air is most likely going past the valves. It tells you right there.
Yep, so that right now we've pulled up 115, so we know the oil made a difference, so we know the rings are just at the beginning phases of starting to deteriorate. But it's still not bad at all. Once again, as that engine fires, that explosion expands the ring. So that's really not bad, but we know where we're at. But the valves are great, and that's what we're concerned about.
That's pretty good for a motor that old.
Oh,
it looks
great.
pretty original.
Yeah.